Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our Facebook Live today. So, my name is Chase. I am a realtor here with REMAX, and I'm here with.
I'm Sarah Crowder with REMAX Capital Properties, and we're going to do a little buyer and seller Q&A and answer some common questions that we get a lot of times and hope that we can bring some clarity for you guys.
Yeah. So, I'm going to start out with the first question to Sarah from, let's say, a seller who's thinking of putting their house on the market. So, how do I get my house ready to sell?
First impressions are very, very important. They're the huge thing when you're listing your home. You always want to make sure that curb appeal is in order. Anything that you can do, depending on the season, to make the exterior of your home look as nice as possible. And then when you go inside, you're managing clutter, personal items. A lot of times people will have photographs and knickknacks out. We all do,
Yeah.
but it's keeping those to a minimum. Sometimes you can even think about maybe renting a storage unit
Yeah.
or finding a place to kind of alternatively store some of your things, except for staging items when you're
Yeah, I agree.
ready.
I think you really want to focus on the fact that buyers are going to be coming in, looking at this house and they're going to try to imagine themselves in the house. So if you just have stuff everywhere, it makes it really hard to picture yourself in there and where would I put this? Because there's no room for it. So it also makes it look a little bit smaller than maybe it actually is when there's just stuff everywhere. So
Definitely.
obviously
Yeah.
not needing to pack up all the way and get everything out, but making it look, so they can
Right.
imagine what they're going to put there.
Their own things and
And
their own furniture.
yeah, also curb appeal, like you said, I think is really important, especially this time of year when grass starts growing and our trees are coming back to life and bushes and all that. So just making sure all of that, we don't have bushes all over the um, back deck and patios and stuff,
Right.
and just trying to keep everything trimmed and looking nice. So when they
Yeah.
first roll up to that house, they're like, okay,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna like this.
This is a nice house. Yeah, branches and leaves and stuff like that. When someone's buying a house, it's one of the most large purchases of their life and important purchases. And they're emotional about it in a different way, I think, than sellers are. So when you're selling your home, you have photographs, you have maybe your children, if you have them, you have personal items and books and things like that. But for the buyer, it's not emotional like that. That's, so you've got to take out all the personal touches and, just neutralize the inside, make sure it's clean, no pet odors, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
good
big
one.
one.
Pet odors, smoke, smells.
Yes.
Stuff that as soon as people walk in, they're like, oof.
Yes. Any repairs that need to be done too that are obvious, is always a good idea to get those done before listing.
And especially, I would say the minor repairs, if you have a leaky faucet or something that that's going to come up in an inspection,
Right.
and it may look like a bigger deal than it is to a buyer. So if you just get that tightened up real fast so that it doesn't come up and it's not something that they have to worry about, then I think that helps a lot. Something that I ran into with a buyer and was just going to see your thoughts on it, for paint. So say they have they had kids and they have a very green room or a very pink room.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they ask should I repaint this whole room? What would be your suggestion for them on that?
For them, if you're looking at something like that, I've seen ones that have had the chalkboard walls on them or bright pink or the colors or the murals. And those just don't appeal to a lot of buyers because if they don't have children or they're using that room for something different, they're already looking in their mind as they walk through this house, okay, I'm going to have to repaint that. I'm going to have to do this. And so I always think, if you have a room in your house like that where it could be updated, to go ahead and do it. It's pretty easy to go, to ask your agent or to, go to the paint store and they can give you the current popular colors. You can look through a swatch. You can, pick one that would work for everybody, and it might be a little more showable than otherwise. But it's okay too to list a house with that and not want to make any changes. But you might have to take that into consideration when pricing it, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's hard sometimes with something like that because then at that point you're probably having to do the whole house.
Right.
And that was not your intention. It was just to do the like one
Right.
room, you know? So
Right.
I don't know. You can get it matched to the rest of the house, but then I think also old paint versus new paint kind of has
Right.
different colors. So
That's
it's just getting into little, It's just how much work you want to do and if you're willing to, some buyers are very willing to just paint their own house.
That's
They
true.
already have colors in mind that they want to do and everything. So
That's true.
I don't know.
They
It just depends on the
prefer to
situation,
select
I
their
guess.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got
Okay.
that one
One
down.
that I had, Chase, was do I have to call the listing agent?
Yeah. So we get that one kind of a lot. You drive by a house that you're like, oh, this one's really cute, has a name on it. I guess I have to call them, which is not always the case, actually. If you have an agent that you know, like, and trust, and it's not that agent, then you can still call them. And honestly, I think it's better to call your own agent rather than the listing agent.
Agreed.
The listing agent could still help you if you wanted them to, but they are there to represent the seller and they are
Correct.
going to try to get the best deal for their seller. And they're, of course, still going to treat you fairly. They have their fiduciary responsibilities to you, but you want someone that's looking out for you, that's going to help you through the inspection process, the appraisal,
Right.
getting you information on lenders or on inspectors, like what would you have done, blah, blah, blah. And a listing agent, I'm sure, would do that for you as well. But I personally think that if you are really serious about looking at this house and you want to get help with that whole process and you might not understand it 1000%, it's best to go to like your own agent, and
I
have your
agree.
own
Yeah,
representation.
the most fair representation you can have as a buyer.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
But yeah, I do know that one's come up a few times, and so I think that's a good
Yeah,
question.
and I've had a few buyers that have, well, we'll pick a house we like and we'll just use the agent that's on there. And like you said, you can do that, but to get the best representation personally, I think it's always best to have your own buyer's agent that you know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may just depend on the situation. Maybe this person has been through multiple houses that they've bought and sold in their time, and
Correct. Yeah.
they know the process, so they're not too worried about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not super familiar, it might be best to, go with your own agent.
Makes a long process kind of less confusing and just easier for you, I
Yes,
think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one for you. Is a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter necessary to look at homes, purchase a home, make an offer on a home, all that fun stuff?
It's not necessary to get a pre-approval before looking at homes, but it's definitely advantageous. I think that it streamlines the process quite a bit because you are meeting with a lender when you're looking to get pre-approved. You're providing your debts and your assets and all your financial information to them, and then they come up with how much they will loan you and at what interest rate. So going into a home search with a pre-approval does a couple things. It shows potential sellers that you're serious and that you are organized and ready to make an offer on their home. And even some luxury listings too, or the listings in the higher price range can sometimes even require a pre-approval just to go look at it. Down the road too, it will streamline the process even more after an offer is accepted because you already have the financial details sorted out and kind of everybody knows what to expect. And it really does protect both the buyer and the seller in the long run, and it just makes the whole closing process smoother, I think.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I also think it's really nice going in, not just like, I guess, just further into that, what your monthly payments are going to look like, and those can be kind of surprising if you don't know until like you get that pre-qual afterwards and you're like, oh, wait, I don't know if I like that house that much,
Right.
So I also think it's important before you even go looking with your agent, it's not necessary. You can go look at houses beforehand if you just want to get started and say, hey, I really like this house. I want to go look at it. Not necessary to have one. You don't know if you're going to like it. But I do think the danger in that is if you're looking at houses in the $500,000 range and you're starting to fall in love with those and you're like,
Right.
wow, these are so great. I can't wait to make my purchase.
Right.
You finally get that prequal and it's 300s, 400s.
Yeah. Or they
And
deny you altogether, and then
you're
you're
like,
sitting there
oh,
going, oh
back to square
shoot.
one. But
Yeah.
yeah, then
So
those houses and those price ranges are very different as well.
they are.
And you may not be expecting that and you got your hopes up and
Yeah.
it's just a dangerous game. So play it safe and, you know, to just make the process smoother in general, it definitely is best to try to get those prequels done
I think so.
beforehand.
Get your pre-approvals, everyone. They're a
Yes,
great
do it.
idea. They'll protect you.
Strengthen your offer. So when you
Yes.
do walk into that house and you're like, I love this. They're like, great. We already have 2 offers. Are you going to get us one tonight? And you're not scrambling with a lender trying to get all your information in just so you can,
Right.
you know, get that offer in and make it competitive. So
It's already done. It shows them that you've done the homework and you're prepared. So I think
Yeah.
it's always a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that I've seen, why shouldn't I just list my home for sale by owner, or FSBO as we like to call it?
Yes, that's the favorite, right?
Yeah.
So you can. You
Mhm.
absolutely can list your home for sale by owner, but I think that there are certain things to keep in mind when you're doing that that maybe people don't really necessarily think about. They're just like, hey, I want the most money. I don't want to pay that commission,
Right.
and I'm going to just throw it on Zillow for sale by owner, and that's great. And you're welcome to do that. But just some things to consider before doing it. I don't necessarily think skipping out on that commission means that you're going to make the most possible off of that house.
Agreed.
And I think that is because, for a few reasons, a big part of our job with people who want to list is getting that correct pricing right off the get-go. And we do that, you know, by looking at other homes that are similar to yours, that have sold in the similar location, that have similar updates and like same style and stuff. We try to figure out what this house is going to sell for quickly and, you know, most competitively.
Right.
And that is hard for a seller who doesn't have, you know, access to that information to do. So
True.
you're kind of just going off of what you think your house is worth.
Right.
And that, like we talked about before, is hard when you have so many ties with it. Maybe you
Right.
raise your kids in it, and maybe you've lived there for 30
Right.
years and you think it's worth so much more because of the memories.
Right.
But a buyer coming in is like, this is not worth that.
Yeah, they're not going to see it the same. They never will.
Exactly.
So to not have the tools to price it for the market, you know, like that, it's a lot of paperwork,
Oh, yeah.
and to go into it unrepresented by a knowledgeable real estate agent can be tough for someone who's never done that before. There's a lot of paperwork, and you're negotiating a lot of times against, you know, very seasoned agents that have been doing this a very long time. And again, their interest is going to be towards their buyer. And so to go into it without the selling, you know,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to go through all the paperwork and the negotiations and come out on top a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it can, I think sometimes too, some buyers can be turned off by the for sale by owner.
I think so
in
too.
some cases.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too comes with like we're doing a lot of marketing for our sellers. We want to get it out there. We want people to come see it, to get as much attention as possible. And doing for sale by owner, you just don't get that much attention. And then if you do, if someone is to find it like, oh, I saw this house, I'm going to let my agent know I want to go see it. It's a for sale by owner. Then the agent, you know, reaches out to that seller and is like, hey, can we come look at this house? Are you going to be willing to work with an agent on the other side? That commission's still coming into play, you know,
Right.
like they're still going to ask you for commission. So you didn't really get out of that, you know?
Right.
And are you going to say no to a showing because you don't want to work with an agent? Maybe, but
It's possible.
then
but
you're
that
getting,
will,
you're just getting less attention. It's going to be on the market longer. You're going
Yeah.
to be doing those price drops that we hate to see because
Yes,
those do
yes.
not look good on a home when
They
you just keep price dropping. So yeah, it's just, you absolutely can
yes.
list your house for sale by owner, but just some
Yes.
things to keep in mind and know what you're getting yourself into before before going ahead with that. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. So kind of along those lines, how would you market my house for sale? Like, how are you going to make it different than what I could just do with like posting it on Facebook and
Yeah.
letting people see it?
That's a great question. One we hear a lot. And a lot of times when we take on a seller, this is something that we'll address right away. Marketing includes social media. So there's TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, maybe Instagram. There's public marketing. There's a lot of print advertisement, open houses,
Mhm.
showings, any kind of thing like that. We really, really try to blast the property as far and as wide as possible, so that buyers in other regions that may come to Cheyenne or surrounding areas for whatever reason, they see it. We get a lot of feedback about the marketing that we do, especially here at REMAX, and we do a lot of, people love to see it. They love to see the videos and the open houses and the marketing that we do for that, and every bit of exposure helps.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of exposure that you would get from us, would be, anything like that.
Yeah, we do
And
some really fun videos,
yeah, we do.
like we did
We do.
the hide and go seek one. Like we're always like trying to think of like new fun ways to show off a property.
Right.
And we're all on Facebook. There's so many agents, and all those agents have buyers. So if we are marketing it to all these other agents, they might be like, this is exactly what my buyer was looking for. Perfect,
Right.
easy. Whereas you putting it on Facebook, like that's a different, you're just not getting as much.
It's not reaching as far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And